for the book review on A Curse Carved in Bone. This is a Norse-based romantasy. It is for the fantasy elements, it's elevated human powers, and it is dual POV this time and medium spicy. This is the second book in the duology. So while I feel like I kept my description pretty vague, there might be spoilers for the first book in this. I will not spoil this book at all, but perhaps a spoiler for A Fate Inked in Blood. So if you haven't read that, maybe go back and watch that video instead. We're going to be picking up right where we left off with Freya, where she feels like she can trust no one. But also she's just learned massive things about herself and her powers that are just leaving her reeling. Because of that, she decides to kind of temporarily align herself with her former enemy. And that's in hopes that she can learn her full story about herself, right? But also stop the prophecy that's supposed to happen involving her. And on Bjorn's side, since we're now getting his point of view as well, obviously we're going to learn a lot more about him and his background and what's going on in his head these days. But he's hoping that once Freya learns the full truth, they can get back together. I gave this 3.5 stars. I think the fantasy elements in this are decent. Like, one, it's still a unique world that I have not been a part of before. I think it gets expanded nicely. I feel like the fantasy elements to me in this are solid. It's also very twisty. Multiple twists happen in this book and I didn't see them coming. But there's just way less romance in this book. I know it's a second book in a duology, right? And in theory, I guess in a book you can't fall in love twice. You could, but that's like an amnesia trope or something. Regardless, I still think you could amp up the romance or at least keep it equal to what was in the last book. And I've seen other authors do it, even if, you know, a betrayal and they get back together or they stay together the entire time. I've seen fantasy authors able to kind of sustain romance multiple books. So it's just a little sad that this one kind of fell off. Because I am predominantly a romance reader leaning in to romantasy. I feel like if you're a fantasy reader leaning into romantasy, you are going to like this much more than I did. And I can't really tell you what else I didn't jive with in this book necessarily, other than it took me days. I'm talking 5 days to read. And like, she's not overly thick. I just had no interest in like sitting down and focusing on this book and this book alone. I will also say, when I spend money on an actual book and like invest in it, I go in confirmation bias fully. I go in desperately wanting to like it, right? Because I purchased it. I spent money on it. So that 3.5 stars might be boosted a little bit. All in all, I do recommend it if you are a big fantasy reader or if you're very interested in like Norse mythology and gods. I think you would like this book, but don't go in thinking you're getting a great romantasy.